My dump truck project quit running on me, and now we need to try and fix it. Here we go. When this broke down on the side of the road, we found out it is a fuel issue. We narrowed it down to this tank and honestly the other tank having rusty diesel all through it. You guys called to say, do not use that tank. It's a bad idea. And I'm like, I drained it out. I thought it was pretty clean. No, it was not clean. A lot of recommendations came through of how do you clean a fuel tank and make sure this doesn't happen. I really looked this thing over and you can actually see a couple places they actually had to patch this. I don't know if it got thin, if it wore through, if it rusted. More than anything, I want this thing to be reliable. I want to drive it down the road, never have to worry about, is it going to plug up a filter and leave me stranded today? That is why I ended up with 2 new aluminum fuel tanks. Really didn't want to do this because of the cost, but I figured if I'm going to do one, I should do the second one in return. Aluminum, we'll never have to worry about it. And honestly, if we want these things to look really pretty, we could shine them right up to match our aluminum wheels we'll put on someday. Not gonna lie, it is a sharp looking fuel tank. This tank actually isn't even made for this truck. However, I was able to get some dimensions and everything, and we should only be about 1 inch taller and then 1 inch narrower. And hopefully this thing will still fit. Unfortunately, we put about 40 gallons of fuel in here, so there is some weight to it, but instead of doing the old 5-gallon bucket trick, we're gonna try and just take this thing off full of fuel. I do hope this is not something that I'm going to regret, but let's go ahead and get some tools and get started. Without further ado, I have a feeling it's not gonna play nice, so we'll get the hammer and pry bar out now and start with the impact and sockets. The sending unit is actually broke, so I don't really have high hopes for being able to use this. What else is attached here? So we have the vent that doesn't even vent, so we got a new one of those. And then of course the fitting we just put on there, we're gonna have to pull that guy out. Let's see if we get a nice rusty mess of fuel coming out of here. Oh no, great, it's plugged up, so I guess that worked in our favor. I have to bust out the long sockets for this one, not the mid-length. I'm guessing we're gonna be in 4 and ground on the standard. Let's try 3/4. Bingo. Using an adapter to go from 1/2 inch to 3/8 will rob a lot of the power of this impact, but I'll try it either way. I'm gonna leave a couple threads there before we have a little bit of an accident. This thing would kind of hurt falling on me. Whoops, almost forgot about this guy up here. Should be no fuel in here. This just travels to the other side. Our straps broke free on both of these. I have no clue how heavy this is gonna be. I'm about to find out. Oh. There we go. Voila, there is 1 tank of half-filled bad diesel. I was really expecting the frame to look bad in here, but honestly, I'm really impressed. Before we get too excited, I think we need to at least test fit this on here. Before we even start swapping fittings and everything, let's make sure it's gonna fit. Bring this. You bend the strap to get it to go up and over that. Right now it hits. Not gonna lie, what do you think? I feel like going from that black box to the nice shiny round aluminum, I think we made a pretty good looks upgrade. This is actually 50 gallons. Supposedly this guy is a 55 gallon, so I guess we gain low capacity too. So many fittings and different options and stuff on this tank. I'm sitting here thinking, how do we want to plumb this? Instead of a draw straw where you're trying to get the exact distance just off the bottom of the tank, and usually I don't have a good experience with those, I'm gonna do what we actually do with the shop for pickup trucks and do kind of like a sump style. It just seems when you do a sump, you always have the best chance of, even when the tank is low, it's still somehow gonna suck that fuel up. Saving grace on this truck is the tank actually sits up here, so we have like a good couple inches worth to be able to make sure nothing knocks that off. We are going to reuse this valve and 90 off of the original tank here. There's just rust in everything. We'll have to get this cleaned out. Fitting is re-taped. Now let's put it on the bottom of the tank. When we get this fully tightened, we want to have this facing the back, which I think is this side. The valve is on the top and the fuel is coming out of the back of this thing. Still have room to shut it off and on. Inside the truck, I'm hiding some more goodies. Starting with this, which is going to be a new fresh strapping for around the tank. And we'll take these 2, which are new tank vents. There's a little ball up in there. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but basically this vents the tank because before, this tank was actually getting sucked in by the engine, and that makes it harder for the engine to run. With that wrapped up, let's go ahead and throw it in our tank. Well, I guess it's not going there. Oh no, we don't have a 3/8 fitting. That's probably 1/4 inch. Dang. Down to our kits here, we'll find one of these guys. I think this is NPT fittings. I think if we throw this bushing on there, we can go from 3/8 to 1/2 inch and be what we need to be at. Colder it gets, the more it makes me think I should be working on some heaters over here, not a dump truck. Take our bushing, get it all sealed up, and now we can install it in the tank. Guess it doesn't matter which one, so we'll just go with this guy here. Perfect. Now we'll just crank her down. Yeah, I like that. We actually didn't end up too high, so this is a good height. We're not going to hit anything coming into here, I don't think. The next thing that I think is going to be a little bit of a headache is going to be the sending unit. The old one didn't work, and I'm going to assume it probably got a bunch of rust in where it actually reads the fuel level. The universal adjustable sending unit. Height-wise, it looks like we can kind of spread these brackets and make it grow tall enough. But the really tricky thing, the really tricky thing is this has to read a certain amount of ohms through this. I forget what you call this right here. I had to try and find the factory amount of ohms that read full and that read empty. I think it's like 0 and 90 was my hopeful guess upon research. We'll see if this thing works properly. If not, it could be like a full tank, but it reads half a tank or vice versa. The first thing we got to set is how long this float is going to be, because that determines how low it goes into the tank. What reads empty and then what reads full. I can tell you right now, our tank is not whatever this distance is from here to here. That's like freaking 3 feet. Chop a little off here. There we go. I figured this Chinese metal would cut pretty easy. Start there and see what that looks like. I don't know why I'm trying to guesstimate. Let's just lay this tank down and use it for reference. Take off a little bit more. We're about at the top of the tank there. This can come down a little bit more. Extend that. That is like right at the bottom of it, so feel good about it. As far as install goes, unfortunately our bolt holes do not line up, so I think what I'm gonna have to do, because I have no way to kind of run any type of washer and nut inside of there. Not that I love these, but in this case it is pretty much the best option for us, is we're gonna use some self-tapping screws. They'll bite into this, throw the chips down in, and before this thing sees any fuel, we can actually go ahead and tilt this upside down and we'll get all the chips out through here. Or we can even actually get a vacuum wand down in there. So some way, somehow, now's our chance to try and get this out while it's all dry in there. So we're trying to weasel this guy down into there. If we can get it in. Come on. In there. There we go. There's 2 layers of aluminum, so I'm thinking these guys that are just a touch longer going to be the best option for us. And yes, I made sure that when I got this, these are stainless steel. No rusting on these guys. Just like that, we got ourselves a mounted sending unit. Trying to get the best angle I could. I had one phone in one hand and impact in the other. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that right there is a screw that I managed to drop down in there when I was trying to film. It went boop. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna get that out of there because it's stainless, so magnet's not gonna work. Really, the last thing we need for this tank is the 2 more plugs, actually 3 more plugs. Let's see if we have those in our kit. Remember I said kits are the most beautiful thing to have the other day? Well, they sure are. There's a 1/2 inch. I'm sure this is 3/8. This looks like 1/2 inch as well. Really doesn't matter to me which style. I kind of like that better. Maybe we can run these. We'll run 3 of those with the hex on the top. Put these back in their home. Let's wrap these up with some tape. Freshly taped, ready to go. We'll get this guy started. Tell you what though, it's going to be so sweet to have a shop someday, because right now it's just me and whatever animals are hanging out there in the woods. Aluminum and brass are 2 very soft metals, so we're going to make sure we finish tightening this by hand. This should be good. Hit this guy next, the other 1/2 inch plug. And that feels pretty tight there. Had a little oopsie there, so I think we're going to call that a night and clean up.